Hi there, and welcome. We're here today with Kristi Borst, and she is with Healing Resonance. We're very excited to have Kristi here. She's an integrative energy healer, and we're going to learn more about what that is. So welcome, Kristi.
Thank you, Janet. Hi, everyone.
All right. Yeah, we're excited to have you here. Kristi has an event coming up with Personal Growth Network soon, and she lives in Maine and works out of Healing, is it Blossom Healing Center?
Blossom Healings, yep, in
Blossom
Topsfield
in
on
Topsfield.
Tuesdays.
Okay, great. And I think you also work out of your home, right?
Yes, I do. I do most of the distance session work from my home and also see people one-to-one here.
Okay, great. So let's start by having you explain what an integrative healing energy healer is.
So while traditional medicine kind of looks at us as a body, integrative energy healers see more to the person, the mind, the body, the spirit, and the emotions. I am a natural born emotional healer, and many times it's these non-physical aspects of the self that are the root or the basis of a physical disease or even in a deep emotional state.
Okay. Yeah, I love that you brought in the emotions because we hear mind, body, spirit, but I think the heart and the emotions are key to healing. I'm sure you've found that with your practice.
Yes, and many people have what I call stuffed emotions. So emotions that they perhaps weren't able to process at a younger age, and they've literally kind of stuffed them into a part of their body, and they're not even aware. This is all on a unconscious or subconscious level, but it can still affect the physical body.
Right. So the work you do clears that energy, is that correct?
It can clear the emotional trauma. It can balance the energy flow in the body, and I actually have excuse me, I need to get a drink.
Sure.
I actually have my own process, which I call perspective reboot. So there is an actual kind of reprogramming aspect to the work I do to almost diffuse or minimize the old stories that can be running us many times without our kind of conscious awareness.
Right. I find that so much of who we are is coming from our subconscious and we're not even aware of it.
I have an expression that I love to use, Janet, which is awareness equals the power of choice equals the power to change. So as we become aware of these old stories and the emotions that are running us, then we can begin to see more of a choice of whether to engage with those emotions in the way that they were running us, and we can begin to make new choices for our better health and well-being.
Right. And the basis of holistic health is to take responsibility and say that we do have a choice to make a change in our lives. So I'm wondering if the people who come to you are people who are ready for change? Are they people who have just had enough and say, I need help on another level?
Typically, I guess I would say there's yes and no to that. So or maybe yes. In some cases, it's people who have tried years of talk therapy and they've really not progressed. I have one testimonial on my site from a woman in her 20s who basically said, one session did more than 13 years of therapy. So it is that powerful because it's not about really diving in so much as building a bridge over some of these things. For other people, they've tried the traditional medical approach, and doctors have even told them maybe there's nothing you can do, or they've been prescribed drug therapies and they don't want to take drugs. So this work can heal at a level that scientific, I guess I would say, scientific medicine is not on par with. So there's definitely a place for our medical model. There's trauma, there's physical trauma, that healing that really modern medicine excels at. But some of the physical pain in our body, some of the emotional pain in our body can be transmuted through this energetic spiritual work that I'm offering.
Right, and you do it at a distance as well, correct?
Yes, so I do have clients that I work with that find me on the internet as far away as New Zealand. I'm actually working now with a person that's in India. So it is amazing. It's wonderful. That connection is both energetic and spiritual, but also facilitated with voice connection. So either a phone call or a Skype or WhatsApp.
That's great. That's great. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this. How did this happen for you?
So I was actually born with healing abilities, which I was told as a very young toddler to shut down. Not uncommon for many of us to express gifts when we're children and be told to shut them down. It's really, I know it's part of my path, that this was, part of my own hide and seek game with who I'm here to be. So, excuse me. My process really kind of started about 10 years ago. I had a very successful, I have a almost 40-year marriage. I have 2 now grown daughters. I had a business since I was 27, but there really was something missing. And so I started, as my children got older, to focus on myself and got onto kind of more of a metaphysical, spiritual path. And that journey kind of led me to find that part of myself which was shut down. And so in 2012, I was on a trip to Sedona, and I knew that it was going to be a spiritual journey for me. I didn't really know why, but of course I'd heard Sedona was such a place. And so what happened was hubby and I went grocery shopping, and I was looking for Frappuccinos, which was my treat me when I go on vacation, and learned that they were in the beer aisle. So as I'm in the beer aisle, this man came staggering in to the aisle, and in my head I heard, "Talk to him." And it was really kind of a big kind of first event for me of spirit talking to me through me. And so I basically talked to this man, ministered to him. He was a former Marine. All of his subordinates had perished, and he was carrying this huge burden. And so through this just like 5-minute thing, he was like, "This is a spiritual experience." And I'm thinking, yes, it's my spiritual experience too. So that event was kind of an opening for me to coming back to my connectedness with spirit, my connectedness to my abilities, And within 6 months of that, other things had happened. So I started my business, Healing Resonance.
That's beautiful. That's
Thank you.
beautiful. So you're doing an event for PGN. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the kind of events that you do?
Okay, so once a month I'm doing a group healing event, which is open to in-person participation in Topsfield or distance healing. I will set an actual seat for the person who's attending as a distance client. Typically, what that looks like, Janet, is I'll get a kind of message of what the group theme is for that month. So the message will focus on bringing in the energies for empowering around that theme. At the time of our recording right now, it's May. We're looking at our gardens and seeding our plants for the summer. So this one's about seeding within, seeding our success. And for most of us, the things holding us back are not outside things like we think, but more our own self-sabotage. So there's that group message, that group energy of bringing the people into just an environment of feeling safe and secure. And then there's individual hands-on with the people in the circle, whether they're physically in that seat or I am imagining them and working on them as a distance client at that seat.
Okay, so do you work individually with people, or are you just sending out the energy as a group?
So for the most part, people are there in person. So the beginning part of the session is almost like a guided visualization, a guided meditation to get them in the space of being ready to release what no longer serves them. That's kind of the tagline for my business, release what no longer serves you. So then once that group message is done, I actually go physically one-to-one, hands-on with each person that's in the group.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah, I wondered. Yeah, that's great.
So even like typically I have a client that joins these groups from Florida. So there's a physical seat for her there in the circle. And when it's her turn, I am working on her.
Okay, great. Sounds wonderful. It's exciting.
Yes.
So if you had one message for people, I know there's many messages you want, but what's one important message that you want to share with people in the world?
I think probably the biggest message is all you have to do is be. And so it's a lot less about attaining or achieving and more about reconnecting with that true aspect of yourself. And that's something that you really came into this world knowing. And so the work I do and the work of many other, empowerment, healing people in this world is to help you shed the things that are separating you from who you're here to be.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, why don't you share your website and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay. So my website is Healing Resonance for the number 4.me. So Healing Resonance 4.me.
All right. Well, it's wonderful, and we're really excited to have you be a part of Personal Growth Network. Anything else you want to share or say, or before we wrap?
I just would say that there's, the benefit to each individual and kind of healing themselves, but it also helps uplift the world. We can change the world by changing ourselves.
I truly believe that.
And really the only one we can change is ourselves, but in doing so, we change the world. So it's kind of a yin and yang balance.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Kristi.
Thank you, Janet. I'm thrilled to be.
Thanks.
Thank you.